Good afternoon. I'm Denise Koch at CBS News Baltimore with some breaking news for you. As we've been telling you throughout the afternoon, there has been a police-involved shooting in southwest Baltimore. Wilkins Avenue has been shut down. We have been told since the last time we were with you that one officer has minor injuries, but we're going to learn more now as the police commissioner Worley, the mayor is there. They're going to hold a news conference and give us some more details on exactly what happened about an hour and a half ago, southwest Baltimore.
Good afternoon. Join with me here today is Mayor Brandon Scott, Ken Thompson of our monitoring team, and Acting Deputy Commissioner Kevin Jones. Today, approximately 12:35 p.m., our officers from the Southwest District were patrolling the area of Brunswick Street when they encountered an individual who they tried to stop. Individual fled from officers, ran onto Wilkins Avenue. At one point, the individual drew a weapon. One of our officers attempted to tackle him and fell into a set of steps. At one point, the suspect turned and pointed his weapon towards the officers. Multiple officers opened fire, striking the individual. He was taken to shock trauma where he has been pronounced deceased. Officers did render aid immediately upon shooting the individual. At one point, we believed we had an officer that was shot, but he was not. He was transported to shock trauma, and he was been released and is down talking to detectives. We're in contact with the Attorney General's office and have activated our public release of critical incident recordings. On scene officers located a handgun with an extended magazine. We have not confirmed yet that the individual did fire shots. We know he pointed the weapon, but we can't really tell yet from the body-worn camera whether shots were fired. We have not confirmed the identity. However, preliminary information is that he's an adult male. Our Special Investigation Response Team is investigating the incident alongside our Attorney General's office. This is a very active, ongoing investigation, and at this time, I'll turn it over to Mayor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. While we are very early in this investigation, we know that incidents like this really pull the heart out of the community. I want to thank our officers for their quick action to render aid to both the suspect and their fellow officer. We will be standing up a neighborhood stabilization as a part of our protocol here in this neighborhood to support this neighborhood as they go through this traumatic event that has hurt their neighborhood and people that live in a neighborhood and an individual that lost his life. I want to again thank our officers for what they do and what they did today, making sure to render aid. We know that this again points at a bigger and broader issue about the flow of guns into our city and how we cannot have individuals just walking around with these weapons that can lead to incidents like today that is very unfortunate. Thank you.
Sorry to come back up. So guys, we're going to go ahead and get started with our question portion. We will do one question per outlet. We're going to start with Hugo at the banner, work our way to the Baltimore Sun, and come down this way. So Hugo, first question.
Yeah, do we know how many shots were fired in total?
No, just multiple.
More than a handful.
From what I saw, yes.
Baltimore Sun.
Why did officers stop the suspect?
The individual was standing and they believed him to be armed, and when they got out of their car to approach him, he took off running.
Going over to, I think, Alexa. Oh, David. I'm sorry, David Collins.
What type of weapon was recovered, and is the person you believe who had it prohibited person?
We don't know that information yet. We just are trying to still identify him. The weapon was a handgun with an extended magazine.
Alexa?
Can you talk about the nature of the interaction with the individual who was shot and killed, why he was believed to be armed, what that interaction was like?
It's still part of the investigation, but officers had stopped to engage the individuals, and they had believed that he was armed. When they got out of the vehicle, this individual took off running, and they pursued him on the Wilkins Avenue where the fatal confrontation occurred.
That was why they got out, because they believed he was armed?
Yes.
Leah, AP?
Yeah, did they believe he was armed because of how he was acting or because they were searching for him?
They saw something that made them believe that he was armed.
I don't know why initially they went up to him specifically.
They were patrolling this area. This is I don't want to say a high crime area, but we've had several shootings in this area, and they were doing proactive patrol, which our members are out doing every single day, addressing the individuals that are causing harm in our city. And this is another example where our officers doing a great job of apprehending an individual who was armed, who we don't know what he was up to with that weapon.
Channel 2?
Were they undercover cops that were in the area?
They weren't undercover, but they were district action team officers. They were in their vest, their police vest, and identifiable. They warned the individual multiple times. They yelled to the individual multiple times to drop his weapon, drop his weapon. At one point, an officer got out of the car and attempted to tackle him, and he was able to get away from that officer, at which point he turned and pointed the weapon at the officers.
Can you describe the injuries to the officer? You said he was treated and released. Can you describe his injuries?
Yeah, originally he had some blood on his pants, and we had thought he had been hit, but he was not. It was probably just from the fall.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
All right, as you just heard, we've been listening to the police commissioner and the mayor talk about the incident that we've been covering all afternoon. We have a reporter there, Jessica Albert, who will be turning a package or a story for you by 4 o'clock. But very basically, what we were told by the commissioner happened is around 12:30, officers stopped a man who was standing and they believed him to be armed. That was why they got out of their vehicles and confronted him. They say at the point that they confronted him, he began to run and a chase ensued, and it ended up with the officers and the victim on Wilkins Avenue. At one point, one officer tackled this suspect. He was able to get away. The police commissioner says they also yelled to him, warned to him, stop, stop, and he did not. Then, according to the commissioner, this suspect pulled out a weapon and pointed it at the officers, and that is when, according to the commissioner, the officers fired on this suspect multiple times. We don't know how many times, but multiple times. He was injured. They did give him aid on the scene. An ambulance came. He was taken to the hospital where he has indeed died. They said they did find on site a handgun loaded with an extended magazine on site, which I guess they are assuming belonged to that suspect. One officer initially was thought to have been injured, perhaps shot, but they now say he fell, and that is when they saw some blood on him, but he was taken to shock trauma. That officer is not injured, is fine, and is now being interviewed. So that is what we know right now. It was indeed an officer-involved shooting. The suspect involved has now died from his injuries from multiple gunshot wounds after a chase with a number of police officers, where, according to the commissioner, this suspect was warned to stop, to turn around, to drop their weapon. They did not, and when they pulled their weapon and pointed it at the officers, again, this is according to the commissioner, that is when they were shot and subsequently killed. All right, once again, we have a reporter on the scene. We have a camera on the scene. We will have a full report coming up today at 4 o'clock. But for now, that is what we know about this incident in Southwest Baltimore that took place this afternoon, where one suspect has been killed in a police-involved shooting. I'm Denise Koch. Thank you for watching. We'll see you a little later.